What's up, YouTube? Spawn here. Today I want to go over just a few of the buffs that currently happened last patch. Or sorry, this new patch that just dropped probably like what, yesterday? Give or take, right? 14th? Today's the 5th? Yes, yesterday. I looked at the patch notes, but I wasn't able to due to the online servers, I wasn't able to like kind of showcase a lot of things. But I'm just going to be going over a few buffs and nerfs that's been going on across the board. Keep in mind, this video is going to be only about the cameos. Most of the characters didn't really get any buffs or nerfs besides a couple characters like Sub-Zero. But let's get into it. Okay, so the first one I think the biggest change right now is the cameos. Cameos have gotten really great buffs, and some cameos have gotten fairly okay or reasonable nerfs, right? Which I'm going to be showcasing here in a bit. But I think the biggest winner of this patch is easily Mataru. Now, you don't know Mataru, he grants you a teleport, and he grants you this little shield thing. What this does is that it nullifies projectiles, but not only does it nullify it, it sends them back. So it kind of gives you like this little anti-zoning property. So the longer you hold it, the longer Mataru will walk, of course. And this is not the reason why you use Mataru, of course. So the first buff they gave him is that any move he do or that he does, no matter what the assist is, he comes back so much faster, as you can clearly see. Last patch, this was so slow. Whenever you use this and the opponent didn't throw any projectiles, you would just kind of just waste your cameo bar for nothing, and it would take Mataru like 10 to 15 seconds to even get back to half. So the regeneration has been increased by about 50%, which is amazing for Mataru. So it gives you a reason to use him, but not only you don't feel too bad about using this anti-zoning tool that Mataru grants you, right? Next one, teleport. Teleport isn't nothing really changed about teleport. Like I say, it just comes back a little bit faster. It's just a tad bit faster. It's not by too much, but this would be the main reason you would use Mataru for the teleport, right? That's the only reason why you would pick Mataru. No other reason. That was it, right? So now you kind of get the benefit of using teleport a little bit more frequently up in your combos, and after you get done, Mataru will come back a little bit faster so you can use other cameo moves. Pretty simple, pretty nice buff. I like it. Now, for the big change, this one is going to be a game changer. When I say a game changer, this is probably the biggest buff that any cameo has gotten in the game, which is why I consider Mataru the biggest winner right now. So, low shot. Sorry. Low shot. Low shot is now a little bit faster. It's a bit fast on startup. But as you can see, his cameo meter starts up really fast. Like, it regenerates so fast right now. It's kind of like how Kung Lao Hat was. You can just kind of spam it and kind of spam it, and then he'll just get it over and over and over again, right? Of course, it'll take a little bit of time for him to regenerate, but, you know, still a reasonable, pretty big fucking change. But that's not the big one. Oh, no. Here's the big one. So, Mataru on block, he went from +4, or was it +3? It was +3 or +4 before, right? Now, Mataru is +13 on block. You can do anything you want into a guaranteed +13. This is the biggest change that Mataru or any cameo has ever had within the last patch or two. This is going to put Mataru at a huge advantage over most cameos. So what this means is that you get a +13 on command, and if you're a rushdown character, you are eating right now. So we have Liu Kang stand 2, which is 10 frames. If we're +13, that means I get a guaranteed stand 2 back in +3. So I can constantly kind of loop this over and over again. And if you even dare try to poke or anything like that, I'll just grab you. Or maybe I'll just full combo launch you for however much damage that I think to so choose, right? I can do whatever I want within this sequence, and you can't do nothing about it, dude. You actually legitimately have to hold this because most of his things gel into one another. right? Like 4-4 is 12 frames, right? If you time this right, this jails. They cannot armor, they cannot jump, they cannot call a cameo to give them invincibility frames, they cannot armor, they cannot fatal blow, they can't do nothing. They have to hold this. 4-1 is a 7 frame high. His stand one is a 6 frame, so he can kind of do this like 1-2 pressure that gives him neutral on block and create like a sort of a shimmy situation. Oh, Mataru is going to be so good. Overall, Mataru, biggest buff of the season of this season. Really great cameo now. He's sitting at the top of the line or debatable, at least whenever the game gets a little bit, whenever we start getting used to this meta, I think Mataru is going to be one of those top cameos. Now, on to our next cameo, we have Kung Lao. Now, we all know, if you've been keeping up with the meta, Kung Lao was probably the best cameo in the game. No, fuck that. He was the best cameo in the game before this patch even came out, right? So the change that we've gotten with Kung Lao is that hat. It's still the same. Nothing really changed about hat. It's just that now, instead of hat being +3 on block, it's now -3. If I can pull up the stats here. So instead of being +3 like how it used to, it's now -3 on block. Which means that it's no longer his turn after that, but let's keep it real. Kung Lao is still... This buff is just kind of a little tickle, right? It just doesn't allow you to do all of these extensions and things with just solely Kung Lao hat. The cameo meter still fills up pretty fast because you're pretty spam this move pretty frequently. But come on, this is... If you choose Kung Lao to get a +3, you might as well choose a different cameo. Nobody used Kung Lao point blank range. We all use Kung Lao to kind of get the hard knockdown setup, call Kung Lao out, jump, unblockable. That's what you call Kung Lao for. Still, at ranges, if you hold it, you're still +1,000,000. So this change is not really gonna do anything to Kung Lao. I think Kung Lao is still gonna be the best cameo in the game, arguably, if you want to, right? Without a doubt, Kung Lao's... Like I said, he still is going to be one of the best cameos in the game. It's not going to change anything. So again, I mean, it's a great nerf, it's a decent nerf, but it's not going to hurt Kung Lao in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, maybe you forgot, we have a new stage. Yes, as you know, Christmas is coming up, so they gave us a holiday stage, which looks pretty damn great. You know, they got the lights back there and the cities you can see back there. Really great detail. I love what NetherRealm do with their stages. It is really fine and detailed. It's really eye-catching. The colors pop out, the nighttime, the shading, everything just looks great. New stage, try it out. Let's start off with Cyrax this time. So, as you know, Cyrax was murdered in the last patch. As you know already, he was murdered. Dug 6 feet under. Cyrax is only 5'7", 5'8", and he's dug 6 feet under. He's not climbing out of that hole, buddy. So, change that gave Cyrax net now drains a full bar of meter. Let me take the super meter and put it to default. So now, everything is still the same. If you call Cyrax, it still takes the half bar. If you hold Cyrax, you get the mid. It takes away the full cameo bar. He stays the same. The only difference is if you call up net, it now takes away a full cameo bar. A full bar of meter. Which, no, don't get me wrong. It's nothing to frame about, right? This is nothing to frame about. This actually hurts. If I get a B&B combo of some sort or whatever, and you call Cyrax in here, he will take away a full bar of meter, meaning that now you cannot break, right? At any given point, Johnny can just kind of come in with this little B&B, and you have to hold this. You have to hold this 27%. Now, the damage will now be scaled, of course. Now, for what it does, it takes away a full bar meter, which is nothing to laugh about. You know, but that's the only buff that they gave the Cyrax. Everything else still stays the same. On to the next cameo. Now we have Darius, right? Darius was probably, not gonna lie, one of the more miserable cameos to play against because every cameo or every time you use Darius, each and every single one of his cameo moves would most likely take away a full bar, and he would just be away from the fight for an entire round. Like no bullshit. It whenever you use the kick, it uses the full cameo bar still, and it will take Darius a full round for him to come back. So a buff that they gave him is that Darius now comes back significantly faster. So when he leaves the fight, he would it's still pretty slow, but you would get Darius back a little bit more frequently than you would usually. So they gave Darius a new move. This only happens if you knock your opponent down. So Darius kind of has like a little set play kind of thing, a mix up. So he has a new move where you remember whenever you used to call Darius and get the little flip kick or whatever, right? Call Darius, get the little flip kick, and he will be behind you, and then cloud. That is now his own move, but it only happens on knockdown. You can still hold it, you can still do whatever you want for it. Your opponent doesn't know when you're going to let it go, but you do. So what this allows is that it kind of allow like a little overhead low kind of sequence, but Johnny has the blocks here. Oh my god. The fucking read of all reads, Johnny the God. So when you knock him down, it no longer pops up, it just flats. Go for a high-low mix-up if you so please. This creates a little bit more options for Darius, and it definitely is going to make him a little bit more scarier now because now we have Shujinko. Shujinko was one of the more underused cameos, such as Mataru. The buff that they gave Shujinko is now, he is now 100 health character. So whenever you use Shujinko, you will now become your own juggernaut. Shujinko now grants you a full bar, or sorry, 100 health. So if you had 1,000 health, you now have 1,100. If you were Shao Kahn and you already had 1,100 or 1050, he now gives you 100 more health. So now you're a tank. Or if you were Havoc, you get even more health. And if you're Natara, which is the least health character in the game, and you use Shujinko by any means necessary, you now fall from 900 and you are now a regular health-based character. You are now granted 1,000 health, so you no longer die off of certain interactions with certain characters. Not a great buff, but nonetheless, more health is always good. We have Scorpion. Scorpion, let's be real. The only reason why you would pick Scorpion was because of Flame, right? Combo extensions, launch to do your best swaggiest combos. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong whatsoever. But the change that they gave Scorpion, overhead is now faster. A little bit faster. You remember this move used to be so slow, but now it comes out a little bit faster. I believe it was like 30 something frames. Now it's only 30. So he just bonks you. The next buff they gave Scorpion is same thing with the overhead. Oh, look at the block advantage. This used to be death on block. I believe it was somewhere around -15 to -17. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, give or take. Don't quote me on that, right? But now it is only -2. Depending on certain ranges, it'll be -3. That's what this man is supposed to be, right? But so far, and so is -2, which is great. So you don't die for going for this slow, predictable overhead as well. So now for the next cameo, we have Sonya Blade. Her recharge rate has now been increased on certain moves, not the combo starter, but the main reason why you will be using Sonya is now for ring, right? You will be now using a plasma ring or whatever you want to call energy ring. This move now comes back a lot faster, and it is now a mid. It is no longer a high. But the only difference now is that it is minus on block. It used to be plus, which is a nerf. But considering that this is a mid, this is a big change for how fast it is. She comes in, blasted bow. Plus 17 is still your turn. Whatever you, so you kind of use Sonya as like kind of like a zoning tool. If you want to use as a replacement for Serena, hey, just saying it's there. So now, if you didn't know, she can kind of hold it. And now, since this is a mid, you now have to respect this when Sonya is on screen. Because at any given time, I can kind of just call in Sonya and kind of walk in front of her, and you have to hold this energy ring. You have to hold it. Plus 94, that is great. So not only does she come back a little bit faster, a lot faster actually. It's kind of like a Kung Lao recharge rate that he has now. But for this to be a mid, this is a big game changer for Sonya. Flip kick or leg grab is now -9 on block. It used to be death. When I mean death, I'm talking like -20, -30, somewhere around there. Now, -9. And of course, the recharge rate is a little bit faster. I think it may be the same if I'm reading it correctly, but nonetheless, you can still be safe from certain ranges. This is -9. It is punishable in point blank range, but it is no longer death on block. But you will be using this for mainly combo extensions anyway, but still nonetheless a buff, which makes it a little bit reasonable to pick Sonya now. Now we have Goru, right? Goru was kind of one of those cameos that would get picked a lot frequently, but due to some cameos doing things a little bit better, you would kind of go for like Striker or someone like that, right? Another buff that, so one buff that Goru got is only one buff. Punch Walk is now +9 on block, which is amazing. Now, at this range, +9 isn't anything, because if you're -9 at this range, you don't get anything. So being +9 is not too much significant buff, but the fact that Goru just pushes you out this way, it basically is a guaranteed neutral reset. And he covers a lot of the screen. As long as he gets that third hit, you will be +9, and he will push Johnny all the way back, like my barber did me last week. But we're not going to talk about that. Bars. So if you're like a kind of zoner thing, and you just want to get your opponent off of you, forward punch walk would definitely be your way to go to kind of get neutral reset here. You're +9. So maybe if you throw a projectile or something like that, right? You will definitely be the one to recover first, and most likely it will be kind of hard to read a situation if you throw a projectile, so now they have to kind of respect you there. Goru buff, wouldn't mind it at all. Sonya nerf, pretty good nerf. I'm sorry, Sonya buff, pretty good buff overall. Cameos are eating good. Next cameo. Now we have our next cameo, which is Kano. So Kano got a pretty big nerf. Laser now starts up faster. It does more damage on block and more damage on hit. Meaning that at any given time, whenever Kano decides to throw this out, it's a fast projectile. Probably one of the best projectiles in the game, leading second to none to Kung Lao had, but still, this is probably one of the best projectiles in the game due to its amount of active frames, its startup, and now the big change that this is now a mid. So no jumping this bad boy, no more ducking it. You have to hold this whenever Kano, or if you have a character that has Kano as an assist, you are always going to look out for laser. And this thing is fast. Now we have Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero has gotten a pretty decent amount of changes. So shoulder charge, bam. Shoulder charge now comes in a little bit faster, which is great, and the recharge rate has been increased by a tad bit, not by much, but still a good buff. Ice Burst is now a mid. Not sure why they changed that to a mid, but hey, still a buff nonetheless. I guess we'll try to duck this. Now this will be here. But the main thing is that you only be using this for combos, so it's not really nothing too out of the ordinary, but still a buff. It's a mid now. The big change here, oh, this is going to be nice. As you know, Sub-Zero has probably the best anti-zoning tool in the game. And he's an ambush cameo. He comes in, puts his ice armor on you. You can negate a pretty substantial amount of projectiles. And you can just get in, pressure. So if you're a character like Johnny Cage or Liu Kang, this will be a great benefit to you. But that's not all. Since Sub-Zero is still left on the screen after he grants you this anti-zoning buff, you can still use him. So look at this, look at this. Bang! Now it does use the full cameo meter, but this is a full ambush cameo. But this will create a lot of good set plays. So any given time when you put him up there, bang, you can just kind of call Sub-Zero in to give him a ambush cameo, which is great. Great buff. I want to see what the Sub-Zero cameo players are going to use with this. So if you're using like Havoc or Johnny Cage, or maybe you're just going up against a zone and you want to pick Sub-Zero, I want to see what the people are going to do and how they're going to utilize this utility as a move. Great buffs, next cameo. So we have Sector. Now, Sector was one of those underrated cameos where he was being used mainly because of Rocket, of course, but now he has kind of granted a little bit of a buff, and he so it's now that his recharge rate on certain cameo moves have now been increased by a little substantial amount. Not too big, not too little, still a buff nonetheless. But the main reason why you'll be using Sector, Flame. So we already knew that Flame was a pretty good cameo move. It was plus on block. I don't think it was always plus on block, but the pushback was great, kind of basically a neutral resetter. But the big change that came here is that now whenever you call Sector, he covers a big part of the screen now. Before this buff, he would only do the first part if it whiffed. If nothing hit, he would just do the first part of the flame, leave the screen. But now he does both, and he covers a good amount of the screen. And nonetheless, a pretty good buff. Not substantial, but it'll make Sector a little bit better than what he was. Next cameo. Next we have Frost. Now Frost, this is also a pretty beefy change if you ask me. So, you guys know her little projectile that she would use. This now starts up faster. It starts up a little bit faster. The recharge rate has been increased by a little bit on some of her cameo moves, but the main reason why you'll be using this is that the travel time is now faster. As you can see, it is a lot faster. I believe it's about what, 10 frames, 20 frames faster of travel time. You know, usually this thing will be really slow, but now it goes basically full screen. This is now a garbage tool that you can just use to put on the screen and just kind of chase after a full screen, right? At any given point, this will freeze if they try to. So they're forced to be defensive. Whenever we first seen this move will stop right there. It will just crumple. It will move absolutely nowhere. This is a huge change for Frost. I know you like this reasonable buff. This gives you a lot more opportunity. This gives you a lot more flexibility, and this gives you amazing utility. Let's see what all Frost players are going to do with it. Next cameo. Now, for our characters, not many characters. This is just mainly a cameo buff. Now, overall, this does change the meta a little bit. Now, we still will see Striker, we still will see Kung Lao, but maybe we'll get a little bit of diversity in certain cameos that we haven't seen a bit, such as Mataru, such as Sonya. Maybe a little bit more Cyrax here and there. Maybe a Shujinko here and there, and Darius. Right? Great change overall for cameos in order to make them have their own identity, add variety to the cameos so that they will get played more, and it gives you different play styles to choose from. Great change from NetherRealm, great diversity uses to adding cameos. They're not nerfing anyone too bad to where they're nerfed down to the ground. Overall, great change. Good job, NetherRealm. Now we're on to the buffs and nerfs of some characters, if we have any. So, Sub-Zero. Remember Ice Clone? It's still the same. Regular Ice Clone's still the same. But when you EX it, it now does 1 bar. It takes 1 bar. But not only does it take 1 bar, it is now lasts longer, twice as long as regular Ice Clone. So if you're in the corner and you get trapped with Sub-Zero, oh yes, this is now MKX Ice Clone in front of you. You have to hold this. If you decide to poke, you're getting frozen by the Ice Clone. If you decide to jump, Ice Clone is there. If you decide to armor, Ice Clone is there, and Sub-Zero. But most importantly, the mix-up. Oh, this is about to be a row ride, boys. You can now grab into Ice Clone. Now, do keep in mind that The damage is pretty nerfed because it is a grab, it is unblockable, but nonetheless, it's still an option for Sub-Zero to have. Now, he does still have his triple ice clone. All you have to do is hold the block button, and he will spend the next 2 bars for this, but there's a glitch. If you hold it, he only does 1 bar. He only takes 1 bar if you hold it. Now, as you can see there, it took 2, but there it took 1. This is a glitch, but it is a huge buff for Sub-Zero. His problem was whenever he would do certain strings, he would go into Ice Clone. But Ice Clone recovery frames is a full second, so characters would just armor straight through it and punish him. But now, if he wants to be safe, you know, he can just do it for 1 bar if you do this correctly. I don't know why. There we go. There you go. So what you do here is that you input the move first, and then you hold the block button. If you do them all at the same time, it will take 2 bars. If you do it kind of like a, not like a meter burn, but like an enhance, like an MKX. If you wanted an EX move, you would do down back 1 plus the block button. You will get 2, it will take 2 bars. But if you do the clone first and then hold the block button, it will only take 1 bar. This is a huge buff for Sub-Zero because not only does he kind of covers more space from doing this, but now he doesn't get punished by certain characters because now there are 3 hitboxes on the screen to tank that armor for you, and you will get frozen. You will get frozen. So if you like Tanya, if you like Baraka, or anybody that has a pretty good armor, Kung Lao, anybody like that, this will now be a nightmare to deal with for you. And not only that, the next buff that he got is that Clone lasts so much longer now. It lasts so much longer. So things you normally couldn't get, you can now get. This now opens up a lot more opportunity for Sub-Zero to kind of, you know, get his little combos going here, right? Sub-Zero players, you're kind of eating, but nonetheless, this buff here is definitely a huge changer for you guys as a defensive and kind of an offensive tool, depending on your opponent's approach. So nonetheless, still a buff overall. You guys are eating. We have the main event, which is Quan Chi. So I've been messing around with Quan Chi for a little bit, and I gotta say, I think they nailed it with Quan Chi, actually. Now, he may be not everyone's character, right? But Quan Chi has an archetype. He is now our fucking zoner of the game, right? He can summon projectiles from up above, and he can make these track. So he can do very far, he can do far, he can do medium, and he can do close. Medium, close. So at any given time, whenever Quan Chi predicts your movement, if you're gonna dash forward, he'll just do the medium one, or he'll do the far one. But if he thinks you're too scared to stand still, he'll just do the very far. If he thinks he's gonna jump in, you know, he's just there. And yes, the EX version is a launcher, which is also great. You know, so you can kind of get these little sequences where, you know, I don't think you can combo with anything from far, but from what I know from so far, this is, it's still a pretty great, it allows you to set up portal, right? Now, what makes Quan Chi so great is, yes, his zoning tools are amazing. Yes, it's with a special counsel, of course. Right? So this stand for is this teleporting kit, kind of like Warlock from MKX, that variation, if you remember that. I said this move does track anywhere on the screen. So he has a very annoying tool to kind of threaten you at any range at any given time. It's just there. Fast startup, pretty good damage for a poke, and it pulls you in. And yes, this is special counsel, so whatever you want to do with it, you can special counsel, which makes this even more annoying to deal with, right? Skull, you know, anything you want to do, you know, you can do up skull, bang, right? Just to kind of keep them standing still, you know, because if you're kind of throwing out skulls here and there, they're going to want to move. Stand for is there to keep them still. So you can just kind of do stand for, up skull, wherever the position that they're at. It'll take a little bit of timing, but the zoning will be heavily impacted with Quan Chi. Now, what makes him a really great zoner is not only stand for and the up skull and EX skull covering stupid amounts of screen, and you can set garbage by making him just go really, really slow, which is always great. A slow moving projectile that you can kind of move behind or whatever is always great. This allows you to put garbage on the screen and kind of set up your portal here and just start your zoning havoc rampage, right? Start this chaos. What really makes this character shine is portal. Okay. You can hold it and the portal will walk with you wherever you go. Whichever direction you input, the portal will walk as long as you are holding the button. You can let go of the button, but if you hold X with it, or if you hold if you hold X or A, depending on what console you're on, specifically 3. If you hold 3, even if you let it go, summon it, hold 3, and walk, it will follow you. As long as you hold in 3, it will follow you. If you're not holding it, it will stay in one spot. So do keep that in mind. So, what makes his zoning so great is the portal. Portal starts up so fast, so fast, 15 frames. And anytime you throw a projectile, it'll either increase the speed, increase the amount of projectiles that are there, or it'll grant it a new property. So regular head skull now throws out 3 instead of 1, which is oh so great. So much garbage on the screen that you have to avoid, and these are mids. There is no ducking these bad boys. These are mids. Up skulls, it now covers the entire screen. There's no dashing in, there's no jumping in. If you jump in, you are getting sniped out of the sky, my guy. EX version, it just, oh my, it's an overhead. You have to be very cautious on where this is. And this smooth tracks. You don't need to position it. The EX version just always tracks no matter what. You have this portal up, they're shut down. They cannot move. They dash forward, they get hit by the 4 projectiles. They jump, they get hit by the overhead. They backdash, they get hit by the overhead because it tracks. His zoning is just so annoying right now. It is really just, it's really just kind of annoying. Now, do keep in mind, once you do an EX move from this, it does completely get away. It does completely nullify the buff that you just put on to make these projectiles better. Usually they're out for about 6 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, gone. Okay? But even though if I do 1, 2, use the EX projectile, it's now gone. Right? So do keep that in mind. Once you use the EX, you have to put this back up. But this will be fairly easy due to you cover so much screen. You can just put it right back up due to the immense amount of startup, or due to the least amount of startups that it has. The startup is so fast. But what the game changer with this buff is just like I said, fill the screen up with garbage. Your projectiles become stupid projectiles. They become so retarded. So you have the buff out and you do the air skull. It creates a just look at this. This is now a combo starter. So if you're getting them and this is now a combo starter. So you have to be wary. Quan Chi's zoning is just so crazy right now. So he can just throw out skull, and any EX skull that's purple, it will create a portal for him. Right? Combo, you can send them back full screen, set up portal again, and just be very annoying at full screen. The best cameo that I pair them with is Sector, due to him covering so much amount of space. It basically does it for him. You can use a couple of ambush cameos, such as you can use Kano, you can use Striker, you can use you can use Kung Lao to kind of like control a lot more space. You can use Serena, right? But I just think for right now, with all of these with all of these projectiles, the uppercut just tracks. And it's just really annoying to deal with due to him. Like Sector just allows him to set a portal basically as a zoner, and just to keep you in check because Sector does track at any given time. So while you're throwing these, while you basically throwing out these up skulls to kind of like track your opponent, Sector can just be like, nah, brother, stand still for me. I greatly appreciate that. And yes, you guessed it, you can even do stand 4 and 2 Sector, right? So this really becomes a really annoying tool. It is so annoying to deal with. Portals there, Rocket. On Sector just gives Quan Chi so much opportunity to just keep you at bay, keep you standing still. Because at any given point you decide to jump or anything like that, Sector is always there. And that little stand for annoying tool now becomes a combo extension. It's just so much to deal with whenever you're a zoner and you have a cameo to like make that more threatening to you. It can be pretty overwhelming. But I hope you guys enjoyed this guide on. Also, I hope you guys enjoyed this video content. If you stayed to the end, I greatly appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I think this meta of cameos is really going to change the game. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more diversion, a little bit more variety in characters and cameos. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.